Happy New Year! Hey book lovers, I'm Elise and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about my favorite books of 2022. And I have my drink here. I'm drinking chicken bone broth because, surprise, surprise, I'm under the weather. I have a list of 10 of my favorite books that I read in 2022. I did my best to put them in order from 10 all the way up to number 1 being my favorite. It's not an exact science. So a lot of these books I don't have with me. Either I listened to them on audio, got them from the library, or I did have them and I've already sold them on Pango. Number 10 on my list is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This was my first, probably not my first, I don't know, maybe my first romance that I've ever read that was like a legitimate romance and wasn't just like a contemporary fiction with a bit of romance in it. And I think definitely my first romance that had spicy scenes. I really enjoyed this one. I love the relationship that the Brown sisters have. I loved Red. I thought he was a really good love interest, and I love how he was with Chloe, how he treated her. You know, really that whole series was pretty cute, and I love being able to see Chloe and Red. Overall, it was really cute, and I really enjoyed myself. Book number 9 seemed to divide people pretty good this year, and that is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. This book, I feel like people either loved it or they hated it. I'm definitely on the side of loving it. I think what it did was very surprising, but I love that it went there. And I did also have like a full cast in mind. That was really fun. I love when I'm reading a book and I'm seeing it so clearly in my mind that I'm actually putting faces to these characters. Book number 8 is another thriller, and that is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This one is on the list purely because of the twist. I've raved about this twist time and time again, and I will continue to do so. That twist blew me out of the water. Some people have said that they saw it coming. Some people said that it wasn't that surprising, whatever it may be. And maybe I was just kind of new to the thriller genre and hadn't seen a whole lot, but it was a great experience for me. The next book on my list I do have still, and that is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This was actually my first read of T. Kingfisher. Definitely a contender for favorite author if other books are written similarly to this. This has been compared a lot to Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I loved the atmosphere. The characters I thought were really well done, and this did what I had hoped Mexican Gothic would do. Book number 6 is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. This one I actually kind of read spur of the moment. I was on vacation in Arizona back in March of last year, and I got the notification from my library that the ebook was available. I checked it out and I started reading it, and it was great. To be honest, I don't remember a whole lot of what I liked about the book. I don't know if that's because it was just so long ago, but I do know that the writing pulled me in immediately. As far as the twists, I do remember that I thought I had it figured out, and I was bummed that I thought I had it figured out, and then I ended up not having it figured out at all. So that was good news for me. Oh, I hate when I'm under the weather. And it feels like it's constant in the wintertime. I'm just always sick. Okay, moving on. Book number 5 I did sell on Pango already, and that is Finlay Donovan is Killing It by El Casamano. I actually read it on the same trip in Arizona when I read A Flicker in the Dark. This one was really fun. I was nervous going into it because of how hyped it was, but I was pleasantly surprised. I loved the characters, I loved the story, I loved the relationship between Finlay and Vero, I think her name is. The whole aspect of Finlay having to deal with an ex-husband, having had children with that person, not really liking them. Totally see where she's coming from. A lot of the decisions that she made, I fully support. Being divorced with kids is not easy. Number 4 on my list is Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. This one, I loved so many things about it. I loved the atmosphere for one thing. I loved the setting. I believe it takes place in Scotland, like in the 1800s. And the main character, she basically wants to be a surgeon. And this is during a time when women just weren't surgeons. It was very dark and gothic, and I loved the science aspect. It was a love story, but I feel like it was a love story not between the main character and the love interest, but or I mean, maybe that, but also the main character and her passion. She has that drive. She believes in herself. I really enjoyed it. Book number 3 is Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. It is marketed as a romance, but it didn't feel like a romance at all, which I'm not mad about. If I had to put a trope on it, I would say second chance romance, because this woman, forgive me, I don't remember names right now. Basically, she and her friend, they run like this wilderness adventure type ranch where people from all around kind of come to have this like Western adventure. And one of the groups that they are hosting includes somebody that the main character dated years and years previously. It was so good. And there's like a whole backstory of the main character and her father, how he left her all of these clues. So it's kind of like this huge puzzle treasure map type thing all rolled into one. So they're trying to find this treasure that nobody really thought existed. They thought it was kind of a legend. And the characters were really great. I loved the main character's friend and most of the friends of the love interest. So yeah, this one had me laughing, this one had me enjoying myself, and this one had me crying as well. Overall, it was a really good book. Book number 2 on my list is The Love Hypothesis by Ellie Hazelwood. Yes. This is another one that I put off reading for the longest time because of the hype. When a book is hype, it makes me nervous because I go into it with a lot of expectations. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And this time it definitely worked out. I loved this book with my whole heart. There's not a single thing that I did not enjoy about this book. I, of course, went into it picturing Kylo Ren and whatever her name was supposed to be, I can't remember, from Star Wars. This is definitely a book that I want to reread. I know that there is a scene that people have issue with, but it makes sense to me. I don't know. Have you seen Adam Driver? Because this is supposed to be Adam Driver. He's got a big mouth. Like, unhinge the jaw, snake mouth. He has a big mouth. And the girl, she's pretty petite. I don't know. I finished reading the book and I literally had to go because I had heard there's a scene that had people freaking out. And I finished the book and I'm like, what scene are they talking about? I found out. I'm like, I mean, I thought it was realistic, but that's just me. And book number 1. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably already know what I'm going to say. A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Oh my goodness. In my adult life, I can honestly say that I have never, ever read a book that affected me the way this one did. I was so invested. I fell in love with every single character. Well, most characters. The inner circle. Okay? I have no words. No words. I have a lot of words, but none that make sense. This book is amazing. Amazing. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. This is it. I don't see any book topping this ever. Of course, I cried for like the last 200 pages, I feel like. Favorite book of the year. Favorite book of all time, probably. Yeah. Well, apologies for being under the weather. I feel like every time I film when I'm not feeling my best, thoughts get jumbled and you know, whatever. So thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know down in the comments, did we have any favorite books of the year in common? And let me know what your favorite book of the year was. And until next time.